Bottom of the tiers. On the clock and on Zillow, the Panthers, the Raiders, and the Giants. We know that they are already scouting next year's draft, and for a lot of the people in those organizations, they are scouting real estate agents. Next, year 5 of the rebuild. So all 3 of these teams are like, rebuild starts now. We drafted our quarterback. This is judge us from right now. But you have been rebuilding for the last half decade, all 3 of these teams.
Well,
so you maybe should be further along. They had to tear down the rebuild to start a new rebuild. In the Broncos case, there are 3 rebuilds in. The Patriots, they're just 2 rebuilds in. The Washington, I'm not really even sure. Next, combine the rosters. All right, so hear me out here, because I'm dead serious. 32 teams doesn't really make sense. It's 30 in every other sport. AFC's got too many good teams. NFC, not enough good ones. So let's just remove the Browns entirely. Those 2 teams, let's move them all. Yeah, just put them all together in one.
That's a take.
Bake Show can be the quarterback along with Mike Evans and Tristan Wirfs. Chris Olave, Marshawn Lattimore, and Alvin Kamara can come together. The Browns.
I'm taking Derek Carr.
Send over Myles Garrett, the whole offensive line. Maybe
it would, you don't have to convince. Yes, that would work if you combine 3 teams.
They pretty good.
That would work.
Pretty good. But as is,
those aren't the only 3 teams you can
No, I'm just telling. No, but those 3 teams,
Yes,
I don't think
work.
you would create some.
He talks about Baker Mayfield being such a great quarterback in Tampa Bay and all of this. Why are they so low now, though? To be honest, like, I know why he doesn't like the Browns, and I know why he doesn't like New Orleans, and I know why he doesn't like the Commanders and the Patriots and the Raiders and all of that. But like, and the Broncos, of course, we all know he hates the Broncos and thinks Bo Nix is just going to be awful. But he was so high on Tampa Bay. Why are they so low? Because that, and a lot of people have been yelling at me because I made a Baker Mayfield video about how the Buccaneers, I don't think that the Buccaneers are that good of a team, and a lot of Baker fans out there. And I'm just curious as to why do you think they're that low then? Like, it's just interesting to me. That is probably the first team that stands out. All the other teams that he has where they're at, it makes sense why he puts them there. I think that the Broncos are going to be better, quite honestly. And so I don't think that it's fair to put the Broncos on the same level as the Patriots and the Commanders for that matter. Although I think the Commanders could be sneaky good. I think it all depends on their quarterback situation and how that successfully unfolds. I also think the Raiders could be sneaky good as well. I don't think it's fair to put the Raiders on the level as the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. I think the Raiders are better than that, quite honestly. And I think Gardner Minshew is a legitimate quarterback. I don't think he's a stud. I know a lot of Raiders fans also won AOC out there as well. But to me, it's more a question about the coaching and the offensive coordinating and all of that. But I think you can definitely win some games, and so that's why I think you're going to be in a better position than the Carolina Panthers as well as the New York Giants.
Some juggernaut. I just think it would be a good team.
That's the problem. It would just be an okay
That's
team.
why I said combine the rosters. That was the whole point of the bid.
We kept going.
But, I was crescendoing to something. The whole thing was going to be, and then if you did that, you maybe could lose in the wild card round. But instead, you jumped me. Sleeper potential. Question mark. All right, so last year, everybody was cowardly. They're like, you know what my sleeper is? The Lions, who won 8 in a row to finish the year. That's not a sleeper. A sleeper is a team that has no expectations, that no one believes in. All 4 of these teams have no expectations, very little belief, but just...
That's nonsense. First off, I'm super high on the Colts. A lot of people believe in the Colts. Shane Steichen is for real. Their quarterback, their rookie quarterback, was injured. They're very high on him. People already slate him as a top 10 quarterback, even though he's obviously injured and hasn't really played. Like, go Google top quarterbacks in the NFL and you go to the various blogs and websites and you'll see him up there. Shane Steichen and him are going to do magic together, and they're saying that there's no expectations. They almost made the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. So I disagree with that. And also, in terms of no expectations, people are just waiting on Kyler Murray. And they also have their head coach, their, the old Eagles defensive coordinator's name has completely slipped my mind right now. They're expecting also things to happen there. They're like, well, what are we waiting for? We got a new head coach. Kyler Murray is now going to be healthy for the full year. Let's go. And I know the Titans fans are really high on the Titans. They actually seem very confident. They're very confident with Levis and the coaching moves that they've made over there. And they're really excited. So in terms of sleeper potential, how could that be? Because he just said, oh, well, they're cowardly. The Lions won last 8 games in a row or whatever. Well, the Colts almost got into the playoffs. They were a throw away from beating the Texans to get into the playoffs. So what are you talking about? How does that make sense? Doesn't make any sense.
Enough? Yeah, maybe. Whether it's because of Kyler and Anthony Richardson, whether it's the Titans, who seem to be very aggressive in free agency, Seattle, maybe Mike McDonald brings what he did in Baltimore over there, and Geno gets back to where he was 2 years ago. One of those teams, likely sleeper team. Off-season 2 weird tier. All right, so Minnesota, it was a report this week. You were trying to trade up for Malik Neighbors, and then you were going to trade the best player on your team. Who you got rid of Kirk Cousins because you needed to pay Justin Jefferson. The Steelers, Russell Wilson was announced as starting quarterback, and then Justin Fields like, guys, it's me. Actually, I'm going to fight for it. Falcons, we know how weird it is. Meanwhile, in New York, you have an offensive coordinator who's actually just a darts player. You have a head coach who has the job because he's great on defense, but he is now coaching the offense. And you have a quarterback who wants to hold the next State of the Union address on Pat McAfee's show. Off-season 2 weird. Next.
As you see, how this video is being posted, I just posted a video, an old clip back in, I think it was 2016 or 2017. I think it was 2017, about Nick Wright praising Aaron Rodgers as the best. He said Tom Brady's the most accomplished, but no one is better than Aaron Rodgers. And it's just so funny because now Aaron Rodgers is just worth nothing to Nick. Just nothing. Can't offer anything, not good about anything, just nothing. And again, I don't know what he's talking about with Minnesota. They've made good moves. I think Sam Darnold is a really good, I don't want to say he's a really good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's good enough quarterback. If I say really good, that puts him like too high up there. But I think he's a really competent quarterback is what I mean to say. And I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a great quarterback, or also a good to great quarterback. And, you know, whether who gets the starter when that all unfolds, I believe in Kevin O'Connell. I mean, I think Minnesota will also be a relatively pretty good competitive team. I think the Falcons are going to be too. If Kirk Cousins is actually healthy and made a full recovery, then the Falcons, I believe, are going to win that division. And I don't really think that that's actually like a hot take. I would actually be more surprised if they don't. I know other people are also high on the Saints as well. I could see that too, to a degree, but I just think that the Falcons have more pieces, and I trust Kirk Cousins. I really do. He is a trustworthy quarterback. He just is. And he's been able to show that he's able to be flexible in these environments where he keeps being thrown into different offenses, different players. Like at this point, this is his expertise and just has been what his career has been. The Steelers, I don't know what the Steelers are doing, quite honestly. I made a video recently about how I could see how you could be real high on the Steelers. It all depends. Was Russell Wilson used as a scapegoat? If he was, and if Russ actually still has some life left in him and can actually ball out, well, then the Steelers, I think, would be successful. And if that's not true, and now Justin Fields, if Justin Fields is actually a legitimate quarterback and it was just the mess of the Chicago Bears, then the Steelers should also be good. The only way they're not good is if both quarterbacks end up just not being good. If Russ really is just done and his career is just pretty much over, and if Justin Fields is more Trey Lance than Patrick Mahomes, where he's just doesn't have it, and people keep giving him chances because of where he was drafted, but he just doesn't have it, then the Steelers drop, to the bottom.
QB leap year. All right, a lot of pressure on these two guys. I think it's, maybe a little unfair for at least one of them, but this year, these quarterbacks, if they don't take a significant leap, either statistically or from a winning perspective, there are going to be real criticism surrounding either or both of them. Yeah, I think so. I think for the Chargers, it's like you can't blame the coach anymore. You have Harbaugh. For Trevor, at year 4, you need to be able to overcome circumstances.
Hold on to the ball.
Why should there be more pressure on Herbert than Trevor? Because he says it's unfair for one of them, in which we know he loves Trevor Lawrence. Herbert has done more than what Trevor Lawrence has had. And let's not pretend like Herbert has this amazing, perfect situation. He hasn't for years. He had his crappy coaching situation extended for years. For Trevor Lawrence, they got rid of him. And they got Doug Peterson, a more than competent Super Bowl winning coach. Now, I've also made excuses for Trevor in terms of injuries and stuff like that. So I've defended him. So I think both of these quarterbacks should be given grace and should be given the opportunity to succeed. But it doesn't make sense that he wants to undercut Justin Herbert in service of elevating Trevor Lawrence. That does not make any sense. You either give both these quarterbacks first, because also, yes, Harbaugh is there, but everyone accepts that the Chargers had a really difficult roster, that they had to make moves, and that it's going to take a minute for Harbaugh to like get this offensive, to get this team going. That it might take a year or two, a couple of drafts, that it takes a second. That Harbaugh can't just jump into this team and just say, all right, let's go. It wasn't a ready-made roster here. Like, legitimate, difficult moves had to be made. So this idea that they could just have instant success is also not entirely fair. So again, if that's the case, if Harbaugh can jump in and have instant success with Justin Herbert, then why can't Trevor Lawrence have instant success? Like, what is the excuse then if Trevor Lawrence doesn't have that type of pressure on him? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, you would have to, the excuse would have to then be extended to a Justin Herbert.
Listen, man, it rains. It's hard. Next, pretend S-Bob tier. All of these teams would have fans meeting them at the airport celebrating if they got to a Super Bowl and lost.
Yes.
All of those teams but one, Buffalo's maybe, would get extensions for the coach if they made the conference championship game. And yet they all pretend like they are Super Bowl or bust. No, you're not.
You guys know that this is going to drive me nuts. Well, you know what? Let's just wait to see why he says
You're
that.
just good season. Good season or bust is what you actually are for all 6 of those teams.
Okay, what a disgrace. Okay? Because, first off, to put the Eagles and the Detroit Lions in that category is nonsense. Okay? The Eagles were just in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. All right? And they were a play away also from beating the Kansas City Chiefs. The Detroit Lions were a play away from getting to the Super Bowl. Okay? To be clear, we've already unpacked the whole bust idea. Bust is, will your team be really upset that you did not get to a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl? Will your fan base feel like it was a failure? That is what it is. It's not like we're firing the coaches and getting rid of everyone, because Nick Wright himself has said the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl or bust, because that's the expectations. If the Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl, they're not firing Andy Reid. They're not going to get rid of Travis Kelce, right? They're not going to move on from Pacheco. That's not what they're going to do. Are they going to make changes? Yeah, they're going to make changes like every team does. Every team makes changes from season to season. So to me, the bust is the expectations. Will the fan base be like, okay? Because you're right, if the Miami Dolphins make it to the AFC Championship game and they don't win, the fan base will be like, that was a great season. They'll feel good about it. If the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl this season, they're going to be upset. Trust me, I know. Same thing with the Detroit Lions. They're going to be upset. Okay? And now the Bills, you guys all know my opinions about the Bills. I don't know what to make of them. Obviously, I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I believe in Josh Allen, but I don't know what they can do. I just don't know, honestly. So I don't know what those expectations really are. It's hard for me to imagine them getting to a Super Bowl, but I don't know. And the Dallas Cowboys, we know they're not good enough. They are not good enough. So to put the Dallas Cowboys on the same level as the Detroit Lions and the Eagles, and even the Buffalo Bills for that matter, is insane. I see the Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins be on the same page because these are both teams that are like, well, what do we do with our quarterback? Do we extend our quarterback if we don't get to an NFC or AFC championship game or a Super Bowl? Do we move on from Dak? Do we move on from Tua? What do we do? That actually makes sense because that actually now has bust in the more actual definition of the word, or the more traditional definition of it, is like, we could actually genuinely blow up this team. We could fire Mike McCarthy, right? We could let go of Tua or trade, they wouldn't trade him, but whatever they would, however they would move on from him. Like, those are actual real conversations that can be had. Not to mention both those teams, the Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins, did really well against bad teams last season, not so good against good teams. So again, it makes sense that they're on there, but to put the Eagles and the Lions there makes no sense to me. Not to mention, let's just point this out real fast about the Eagles specifically, and the Lions for that matter, but more specifically about the Eagles. He said that the Eagles were the worst team at the end of the NFL last season, that they were the worst team in the NFL at the end of last season, and that he said that he sees no reason why that won't continue. Those were his words. He said there is no reason why he believes that that's not going to continue. He has no reason to believe why they're going to be able to turn it all around. So then why are the Eagles so high up on this tier system then? Why are they not on the year 5 of the rebuild or combine the rosters? If he thinks that they're the worst team and that he sees no reason why that they're going to change that around, why are they not behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat them in the playoffs, right? Like why is they not there? That makes no sense to me. Why aren't they below the Jets? He thinks the Jets are garbage. He thinks the Jets can't do anything. Doesn't make any sense. No sense.
Teams. There can only be one tier. Guys, we're not going to have 3 great young quarterbacks at once. We're going to have 3 good ones. There's only going to be one that distinguishes himself as the great of the kind of post-Mahomes Allen era of quarterbacks. And right now, Caleb's going to fight for it. Jordan Love, who's a little older, but his experience-wise is not. And CJ's going to fight for it. I like all 3 of their teams. I like all 3 of their rosters. But there's only going to be one quarterback that distinguished himself, not maybe to the level Mahomes did, but similarly over guys of his era. Actually, S-Bob.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack here right now. To say that the Bengals and the Rams are above the Detroit Lions and the Eagles. There are 2 teams that just either went to the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game, relative to these other teams that haven't even gotten to the AFC Championship game or the NFC Championship game recently. Makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense. He's putting the Chicago Bears all the way up there because he also said that the Chicago Bears are going to win the NFC and that they could be in the Super Bowl. And if that's the case, why are they not up there? Like, I understand it won't fit into the category of S-Bob, right? Because the Bears can't be S-Bob. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. That does not make any sense to me at all. I would absolutely put the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers, the Texans, the 49ers, and the Ravens all in the same category. The Rams, I'm high on the Rams too. But I don't know. There's still question marks around there. Same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. There's question marks. What the heck's going on with T. Higgins? What's going on with Joe Burrow's health? And the Chicago Bears. You guys also know that I'm high on the Chicago Bears. And that's why I would put them in those. That's why I actually think a good category for the Bengals, the Rams, and the Bears makes sense because it's like Super Bowl question mark? I don't know how to do these titles. Super Bowl question mark? Like, I don't know if they're really great and if they're all healthy and things are working well, then yeah, they can. If not, if Caleb is going through growing pains, if T. Higgins is not really giving it his all because he wants a big contract, if the Rams, if losing Aaron Donald was a lot bigger of a deal, if Puka Nacua was just a one-hit wonder or Stafford can't stay healthy, then no. But if Puka and Stafford, they're all healthy and Kupp stays healthy and all of that continues to go, then they can absolutely make moves. Same thing with the Bengals. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback. If he finally is able to stay healthy for a full season and T. Higgins is motivated and Jamar Chase is motivated, they're all ready to go and they fix some of their big liabilities on defense, then I absolutely believe the Bengals can make some noise. And same thing as I just said with the Bears. If Caleb is truly who a lot of people think he's going to be, and Eberflus really does have a good lock on that defense, and their OC is able to actually make some magic, then I think the Bears will be really competitive. So I think that's why it's a question mark because it's like there are genuine questions that there's no way for us to know the answers. I don't care what anyone says. There's absolutely no way to know any of those answers. So that's why those other teams, like the Lions, like the Packers, like the Texans, like the 49ers, they're more proven to me. They've made very concrete, measurable jumps with players that we know how they play. We know what Diggs can bring to the table because he's played in the actual NFL. We know who the 49ers are. We know who the Eagles and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Like, we know who these players are. Don't get me wrong. There's still some question marks, right? Will Jalen Hurts be able to ball out like he did in 22? Will Jordan Love continue his trend of getting better and better and better? Or will he come back to a more average between of what he was not only in the last 10 games, but maybe the first 5, 6, however many games? Right? Like, those are the questions. Detroit Lions, did they just get hot? Were they a one-hit wonder? Yes or no? There's always questions about every team, right? Always. Will Brock Purdy take a big step back, right? Will Trevor Lawrence take a gigantic step forward and ball out and win the AFC? Who knows, right? So there's always those question marks, but I just give those teams the edge because you have You've seen them play. We've seen them play in the playoffs. We saw how close it was with the Lions versus the 49ers and the Packers versus the 49ers. We saw the Packers dominate the Cowboys. Like, we've just seen very concrete things. We trust those organizations. We trust those coaches. We trust the moves they've made. So it just makes sense to me. And of course, we know he's going to put the Kansas City Chiefs at the very top.
Self-explanatory. All 4 of these teams are truly Super Bowl or bust. The Rams, for the simple reason of you don't know how much longer Matt Stafford's going to play. So as long as McVay is there and Stafford is there, any year that does not end in the Super Bowl, because you already won one recently, is a disappointment. The Ravens been knocking on the door. The Niners been knocking on the door, been let into the room. They kicked their feet up and then kicked out unceremoniously.
I get a sandwich?
Right, exactly. No. And we know what the deal is with the Bengals because they once upon a time won a game in overtime people care a lot about. And then finally, above reproach.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everyone, there's nothing even to say anymore. It is honestly hurt some of sports commentary that every NFL conversation has this on the front end or the back end of it. Aside from the Chiefs, other than the Chiefs, second best quarterback, the biggest contender to play the Chiefs. They are atop the tiers as they have been consistently the last 5 years. Chris Broussard, your thoughts on the committee's tiers?
Well, the top is great, above reproach. I agree with you on that. I'm surprised. This isn't my main thing. I'm surprised you have Baker and the Buccaneers so low.
I don't love the roster. I like Baker, but it feels like they got old and they, overachieved a bit last year. I just don't love the roster.
Well, I think your Bears are too high. All right, they're not. I don't think they're better. Just to name a few NFC teams, the Packers, the Lions, the Eagles, who I do think are legitimate. That's the one team their fans will not cheer if they get to the Super Bowl and lose because they were just there a couple years ago. But the Bears and Nick, I'm not going to make too much out of it. But I've been one saying, give Caleb some time. He's going to go through some growing things. There's a lot of reports out there that at OTAs, he only completed 3 passes in 7-on-7. He's holding the ball too much. He wasn't efficient in the red zone. I'm not saying this means he's not going to be good. No, there were several reports. I'm not saying he's not going to be good, but I'm saying growing pains. I don't think he's stepping in like C.J. Stroud and lighting the league on fire. I think he's going to grow, and that's why I don't think they're ready to be at that level yet.
So, listen, your point about C.J. Stroud I think is fair. The part of the team ranking there is the more difficulty of schedule and conference the Texans are going to have to deal with. The Packers were not that much better than the Bears last year. The one team won 9 games, one team won 7. Now, the Packers obviously looked great in the postseason, but over the width and breadth of the regular season, they were in a similar boat. So I just don't think the Bears and Packers are that far apart from each other.
I'll be totally honest with you. I had my thesis statement as Cardinals sleeper team, and Katana came into my shared office and said, actually, the name of the tier is sleeper. So I said, you have to upgrade the Cardinals to frisky team. Here's why. I'm back on the Kyler train. Kyler's healthy.
Really?
Last 3 games, I asked Josh to dig deep into the Kyler research. He said, here's the best we could do. Kyler's last 3 games, which he had a completion percentage about 71. He threw for 270 yards.
Wasn't one of those
6 touchdowns, 1 interception? Hey, I'll take it. And I know what you're going to say, bro. What about the video games? Did you find out what Call of Duty is? Because then he takes the day off. Not true. According to Michael Carter, who was on Bickley and Marotta, excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly, on AZ Sports Radio, said this, the more I got to know him, I don't think he ever leaves the facility. It's a small fund.
Yeah, because he can play on the 96-foot jumbo.
Carter says he tried to beat Kyler in last week 2 hours before a team meeting. Guess what? That Lambo was already here. Hello. Just love it. I'm driving a Lambo early. Beat that traffic. Really air that thing out. And then finally, what's the deal with Jonathan Gannon? Do we believe that the Eagles defense suffered because he was the mastermind behind it? Okay, then he went to Arizona and the defense was still no good. So maybe it's like they drafted 6 defensive players. So if he's the mastermind, you got 6 new guys on defense, and you have Marvin Harrison Jr. on offense, so all of a sudden, Cardinals.
So I don't hate it either at Wilds. I do think Jonathan Gannon is sharp, and I think he's very good, obviously, defensively. I don't think they have 2 above average proven defensive players. I just think they don't have the personnel there yet. I think Kyler has upside. I love Marvin Harrison.
Okay, well, we don't have to talk about that because I don't think a lot of guys watching this are going to really realistically think that the Cardinals are going to make too much noise. Maybe they will. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say. I feel like I kind of said it throughout the clip. But yeah, I guess at this point, I'm really curious. Like, what do you guys all think? Like, where do you think these teams should be? It's so hard this far out because what if Bo Nix really is able to hit the ground running and he just looks like a smooth operator? Why they would be higher, right? I mean, like they literally beat. They were not happy with their quarterback situation all last year, and yet they won some games and even beat the above reproach Kansas City Chiefs. Same thing with the Jets. The Jets had that, just that brick wall of a defense, a steel wall of the defense. And if Aaron Rodgers is actually legitimately healthy, and according to Nick Wright just a few years ago, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback ever. Now, obviously, we know that Patrick Mahomes has surpassed that, but under Nick's still current logic, Aaron Rodgers would be the second most talented quarterback of all time. And so to think that he wouldn't be able to find some magic there and elevate the Jets doesn't make any sense to me. Like, of course that's possible. So, and it is interesting because, like I said, he's so high on Tampa Bay, and yet Tampa Bay is so far down. So, yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. I don't think it's absolutely awful or terrible. It's just, it's always tricky. And again, doing it this far out is just impossible. I mean, it really, really is. So it's really just more for fun than anything. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Nick's tiers 99 days out? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely want to feel connected to, something that we're all really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.